Welcome to Show Me Your Shelfie. My name is Salik and I am going to be doing just a couple of book recommendations, my favorite books to read when it's cold outside under a blankie with hot cocoa or something like that. The first book is one that came out this last year. I have it in hardcover. This is Vaster Wilds by Lauren Groff. This book I picked up at the airport because it was on sale and I had read her other book, Matrix, which had been shortlisted for the National Book Award. So has another book that she's written. She's kind of, I think, most famous for Fates and Furies, which I have not read, but after these two, I'm probably gonna pick it up. Between takeoff and landing, it felt like no time had passed. It opens with our heroine, who is kind of just known as Girl, the Girl. She even calls herself Girl. And she's running away from a colonial settlement, and the colony is starving from a famine. They are suffering from an outbreak of smallpox, and then to top it all off, they're under siege from Powhatan Native Americans who are really ready to slit the throat of anyone who crosses over the wall outside of the city. That is all happens and is revealed to us within the first 3 pages. So it starts fast with running and it doesn't stop. It really is a bit of it starts off a sprint. There is a moment where it feels like this is a marathon, but there's that's kind of chopped up by flashbacks to her time in England and then her journey across the seas. Lauren Groff is famous for being really well researched, so I really was completely transported to this place, which was of particular interest to me because I live up the street from the Jamestown settlement. So this is all stuff that they suffered. This was a great way to kind of experience that instead of just reading about it in a history book. Really recommend The Vaster Wilds. You will feel chilly reading this. The Tiger's Wife by Teo Baer was shortlisted for the National Book Award in 2011. It has been several years since I read this book, but I remember it, and I remember a lot of snowy, chilly scenes. I really love stories that kind of transport me and take me to a different place. This story takes place in I don't know if it's an unnamed or fictionalized Balkan country, and I think it's in the 90s, and they're recovering from a war. So I'm imagining, of course, you know, like a certain, like former Yugoslavia area. But the story revolves around a doctor who's gone back to the home country from the US, I believe it's from the US, Natalia, and she's trying to uncover aside from helping with the recovery efforts from the war, she's trying to uncover why her grandfather left when he was ill to some unknown small village, and then he died there. If you like folklore, if you like a lot of, like right now, I think a lot of the mythology kind of books are really popular. This is a mythology, but the mythology is from, the Balkans. And so The Tiger's Wife, I guess, and the Deathless Man are famous characters. And if you're wanting to read them and then also have it wrapped up in a novel that's dealing with grief, dealing with how regular people are affected by these big wars, this might be a great novel for you. One of the stories she's telling is a story that was relayed to her from her grandfather. And I know it takes place in a snowy background, and there are soldiers coming from one area. I think this is during World War II, and there's a meat shed that's cold and frigid, and there's a tiger that's kind of stalking or haunting it, and then there are a couple of men who are, I think, fighting over a rifle, and it leads to it's funny, but like a gruesome funniness, and I just enjoyed it. It's been on Obama's list of books to read, and then her following book was listed as well for Obama. But The third book I'm going to recommend is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. She won the Nobel Prize in 2018, and this was given to me as a Christmas present, and I read it that year and loved it. It was a perfect book for Christmas read. It is a mystery. I think all books are kind of a mystery. That's like everything is like trying to uncover something, but no, this is a murder mystery. So the book opens up with a murder. What's really spectacular about this book isn't solving the murder mystery, although that's interesting, but it's the main character. Janina is narrating the story for us in first person, and it opens up with a neighbor that she calls Oddball knocking on her door to tell her that her other neighbor that she calls Bigfoot is dead. It's in the middle of the night. and she just puts on her snowshoes and goes over with him while they call the police. She does what she wants and she says what she wants, and she's just a really fantastic character. Someone that you would want to spend, 250 pages with. Honestly, if there was a sequel to this book, I would pick it out because I love Janina. I loved spending time with her. The book jacket claims that it is a provocative exploration of the murky borderland between sanity and madness, justice and tradition, autonomy and fate. Who do we deem sane? Maybe not the main character, maybe yes. It asks, who is worthy of a voice? Wow. I will say, fellow reader, that this one is worthy of a Christmas read. I recommend Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. The next book I listened to on audio this last year, it was nominated for a National Book Award. The book that won was Blackouts, and I haven't got my hands on that. I know that's not a good one to listen to. It's super visual. But this one is good to listen to. So if you're wanting to listen to this on Audible, I got it through my local library, and it's not, I don't think, even though it was on that list, it wasn't in such high demand that I didn't have to wait weeks and weeks for it. It's called The End of Drum Time. So The End of Drum Time is my favorite. So I've read 3 of the National Book Award nominated books, and this was my favorite of the 3. I really also liked this other Eden. But anyway, I digress. The author, Hannah Pilvainen, was asked to give a brief description of what the book is about, and she said very succinctly, love versus the forces of religious colonialism. Like The Bastard Wilds, this book really transported me. It takes place in the Arctic northern parts of Sweden, Finland, and Russia, where these are real native people. They're called Sami. I'd never heard of them before. And in this particular group of the Sami, they are reindeer herders. So this is taking place at the end of the 19th century, and a Lutheran minister sets up a church way up north where the Sami people, these reindeer herders, they're nomads. They go with the reindeer. So the reindeer need to go, in the summer north near the ocean, and in the winter they need to come back into the forests where there's more things to eat for them. The Lutheran minister is based on a real character, and they call him Mad Lasse. So Mad Lasse is on a campaign to convert the natives. And then there's another main character, Bjartur. And Bjartur, who is a super influential Sami, he has a salvation moment. So he's this really influential guy and considered very spiritual to his own people. And now he's kind of like doing a new spiritual thing because he has become saved. So Bjartur has his salvation moment. He has a son, Ivar, who is still taking care of the herd, taking care of the reindeer. And this is actually, the romance part comes when Mad Lasse's daughter, Willa, and Ivar end up encountering. And what happens when you have a nomad and a daughter of a Lutheran minister trying to make it happen? It's fantastic. It takes place in the snow. There's romance, there's reindeer, there's a lot of history. It was so much fun to read. So I can't recommend enough The End of Drum Time. All right, I've saved this book for last. This is City of Thieves by David Benioff, and it is one of my all-time favorite books. I don't know if this wasn't listed for a National Book Award. I don't think David Benioff is gonna win a Nobel Prize for Literature. I mean, maybe. But I love this book. I love it so much. I have a copy of it right now because I'm going later this week to a white Christmas party, and I always give this book away. I always give this book away to somebody during the Christmas season because I know everybody will like it. It has stuff for everyone. David Benioff, like I said, didn't win the National Book Award or anything, but he has won a ton of Emmys. So if you are a fan of Game of Thrones, he is one of the showrunners. And just because you were a fan for the first 6.5 seasons, and now maybe you thought he took a wrong turn. I'll tell you, this is season 1 through 6 level David Benioff. It's very, very good. The story takes place in Russia, in Leningrad, during another siege. We've got another siege. So we've got, the Germans are on the outside. They're keeping everybody in. People are very hungry. It is very cold. It is the winter Russia. And a very young man ends up getting tossed into jail. Now, during this time, if you're Russian, you go to Russian jail. They don't have time and space to feed you and figure you out. It's pretty tough punishment. And so for some minor offense, I think he's sentenced to death, and another young man gets thrown in. Same thing. They're both about to be, there's an execution going to happen. The stakes are high. However, there's a stay, and they say, listen, we need you to go and find 12 eggs in the middle of winter during this, because one of the higher ups has a daughter who's having a wedding. And it's so ridiculous. And then it leads to all this adventure. It's hard to say that there's a delightful World War II, siege novel, but because the characters are so funny and sweet and inventive, it really is an adventure novel, and it is a delight. It is a delight. So I can't recommend enough City of Thieves by David Benioff, my favorite Christmas read, basically of all time. I mean, there's the Dickens and, but really, this is what I like to read, and I've reread it a couple times over the winter breaks. So I hope you like my book recommendations for cozy fireside reading, and I hope you have a very happy holiday and a very Merry Christmas, and I will catch you later when I do another book review. Like and subscribe. Thanks.